Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom Curran. I am a senior level chemical engineering student at Lamar University here in Beaumont, Texas. And today I'm going to give my introduction speech for the Communications 1315 Public Speaking 1 class. I'm going to talk about three different aspects of my life: my background, how I came to be in America, and also, finally, I'll talk about my goals and ambitions for the future. So first of all, I'm going to talk about my background. I'm originally from Manchester, which is a city in the north of England, population approximately 2.5 million people, so around about the same size as Houston. It's considered to be the world's first industrialised city and was well known for the manufacturing of cotton products back in the 17th and 18th centuries. Since then, unfortunately, many of the cotton mills have closed and shifted abroad due to cheaper labour costs. We're also famous for music. Bands including the Smiths and Oasis come from Manchester. And we also are known for the long-running soap opera Coronation Street, which has been on the air since 1960 and still broadcasts 5 episodes a week to this day. We're probably most famous though for soccer, and we have two Premier League teams, Manchester City and Manchester United. Manchester United are my team, and there's a picture of David Beckham there with the European Cup in 1999. So now I'm going to tell you all about how I came to be in Texas, and specifically Southeast Texas. So I used to be a recruiter for the oil and gas sector, and I worked for a company called Air Energy. I joined them in 2008. In 2010, the company gave me the opportunity to relocate to their office in Houston, and the company specialises in the recruitment of professionals for the oil and gas industry. So that was how I first got to know about petrochemicals and engineering and such. So shortly after I arrived in Houston, I met the lady who would later go on to become my wife. She told me that she was from the Beaumont area. In fact, she's from Groves, which is where we live now, so that's about 12 miles south of Beaumont for those of you who are out-of-towners. And I decided I wanted a career change. My wife suggested Lamar as being a place where I could earn a reasonably priced and very well regarded engineering degree, and that was what we decided to do. We got married in 2012, and there's a picture of us on our honeymoon at Soldier Field in Chicago, the home of the Chicago Bears. So I enrolled at Lamar just over 3 years ago now, the fall 2012 semester. I chose chemical engineering because I was aware from having been a recruiter for the oil and gas sector that engineers are generally in demand. The actual industry itself is a relatively old industry, and what I mean by that is that a lot of people are heading towards retirement age. It's estimated that about 25% of people working in the petrochemical sector will be retiring within the next 10 years. So even though there are no guarantees in employment or no guaranteed return on investment for the amount that you spend on your education, I thought that engineering was probably a safer bet than most. And one of my favourite things about Lamar is that even though it's a relatively small school compared to some of the more well-known engineering schools, the likes of a Georgia Tech or an A&M or an LSU, the huge advantage that we have here is that we have such good links with local industry. And in fact, I would say that Lamar supplies entry-level engineers and engineering interns to most of the chemical plants and refineries in this area. I've actually completed 3 internships myself, or I'm in the process of completing my 3rd. I've done 6 semesters here at Lamar, and I have 2 more to go before I graduate in May of next year. My plans after I graduate will be to get a job in this area with one of the chemical plants, hopefully one of the companies that I've interned with, and eventually I'd like to be a subject matter expert for one particular area of chemical engineering, and also I'm very open to the idea of working overseas should that opportunity arise. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Is making the chemicals that process oil and gas and other type of chemicals that be in refineries more dangerous?
It is dangerous, yes. Yeah, one of the, so I've worked for two companies and they both say, and I think any petrochemical company would say the same thing, that safety is their number one priority, the safety of their employees. I'm sure we're all familiar with some of the accidents that have happened within the oil and gas sector during the last few decades. And really, all the companies are very conscious now to make sure that safety is the number one priority. So we go to many different conferences on safety, we have lots of safety training, and yeah, so it is dangerous, but we try to make it as safe as possible. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to have 3 internships with your degree?
No, not at all. It's the internships are really optional, but the one thing that I found, and the one thing that we get told to start with, is that it's much easier to get an entry-level job if you have some experience already. I do know of people who graduated just recently who had very high GPAs, but were unable to find work just at the moment because they haven't had any internship experience. So it's not essential, but it certainly helps.